as you could have heard, just the catalog of musicians that you'd have played for, also places that you would have visited. Um, how has music shaped your life and given you different opportunities in your life? Like, if music wasn't a part of your life, like, where would you be and where is it now because of music? I'll probably just ask Sir Evan to answer that, and also Sir Barkley, and then I'll just shoot two new questions to the other gentleman.
Let me see now. So, when I was in late high school, I had the choice to either go to UTech to study architecture or go to Edna Manley to study music. So maybe if I wasn't doing music, I would be an architect, or I would have tried to somehow pursue football or something. Music has put me in some rooms with some great people, like I wouldn't even imagine. I wish I had the brain that I have now when I was younger to make more use of those opportunities, meeting, producers, yeah, some big name people, you just end up and meet in the airport or on them walking off stage or somewhere, So I think, firstly, music is a very humbling career. So it has taught me, firstly, how to be or try to make effort to be a good human being first. Because even though I am talented, I don't think my talent did much in taking me into many of those rooms. It's maybe mainly my effort to have a good attitude, a good vibe, rapport with older musicians, younger musicians, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I appreciate that. And as I stated, just that humility that that you try to emote everywhere you go. Yeah, and that creates that energy that person's attracted to you and want to play with you and what a vibe. If you're good off stage, imagine when you sync with the music. Sir Barkley.
Um, I just reflected on something that Otti would have heard me say over 20 years ago when we were playing for Portmore Vision Choir, that I'm a follower of Christ who happened to be a musician. Remember that? And that remains so to this day. I'm a follower of Christ from I was 9 years old, and I'm very conscious about it. If it weren't, so I'm answering the question this way now. If it weren't for Christ, trust me, I wouldn't be here. I would still be doing music. I wouldn't be here today. I would be on tour somewhere. I may have lost my way too. But in terms of what, for those of you guys who could remember the Catalyst era. So there's a lot of things, but that was the seminal part of what God had me doing. Imagine if I was lost, so to speak. Imagine if all of that was behind something else. I wouldn't be here. So I'm very conscious that the music has given me a lot of opportunity, but more importantly, God has caused me to understand what he has given me as a Jamaican. And because of that, it means everything. I remember back in the day when Delhi was trying with me, and I may have said it out loud that maybe one day I may be more known than some of these guys. Not because I was competing with them, but my passion was for Jamaican music. And we never need to sell that. We never need. So my understanding of my purpose, my culture, would have me today being known as one of the better bass players in Jamaica. That means everything to me.
Indeed, indeed. Really appreciate that. My next question, I'm going to pose it to Sir Oti and Sir Dave. So we know that musicians, or being a musician, is not one of, our traditional jobs. I remember when I wanted to go to Edna Manley at one point, and my parents, them raised ruckus because no money in the music, and they don't want me to go do music, and I remember again, the option was between Edna and go to UTech, and then because of my parents, they were funding at the time, end up at UTech. What advice would you give to our youngsters who like music and want to take on music professionally? What advice would you give to them to say, you would have these obstacles, and just any advice, what you would have garnered over the years? And also a point B to that question is, because it wasn't one of those most traditional jobs that, would have like maybe a steady income at the end of the month that you can look towards, like what some of those challenges, what they look like for you and how you overcame those challenges to be Oti, that your name is mentioned in so many rooms with so many high person, Dave, who would have, played for so many big musicians and have their names edged in history.
All right. So first of all, you have to ensure that you are called to it. Right? You have to ensure that it is a God decision. And where God guides, He provides. Right? Where God guides, He provides. And as Evan said earlier, maintain a proper attitude. Right? Because your attitude take you even further than your skill. Then now you work on your skill. Right? Be technically proficient. Right? Try to be wide. Right? Try to play as many genres as possible. Yes. Right? Ensure that you know who you are. Ensure that as a Jamaican you can stand on the world stage and represent Jamaica, because it's embarrassing enough for some people who study Jamaican culture somewhere foreign, somewhere Europe, to have it more than you. Right? So ensure that you understand who you are. Right? But also study wide enough to appreciate the different characteristics of genres, right? So that you are able now to be marketable across the board. So when you're not touring, you can be doing anything. You can be teaching, you can be all manner of things you are able to do, right? Because you have different income sources under the one umbrella. You see me? Yeah. Dave.
Oti, that take everything.
You can't answer.
You can't answer the board, but I mean, for me, music, there's so many streams of income, as Oti said, within music. So persons only see the touring and the live performances. People don't see the recording. I'm leaving here and I'll go straight to the studio. People don't see those things, they'll see on stage and feel, that's it, that's the only income of a musician. Church is also an income for a musician too. That is one stream of income. So that is one. But it's not, that's all, let me touch something. But anyway, let's move on from that. So that is one, and I said you have events on the music, you have production, you have so many income streams under the umbrella of being a musician. You can't just say, boy, I'm a drummer and that's it. No. You can be a drummer who's a producer. You can be a keyboard player who's an arranger for a movie series or a sitcom or whatever. There's so many things we can do as a professional musician. I don't call myself a musician, but I call myself a musician, I get serious. I'm a drummer. I'm not a drummer. I'm an entertainment consultant. Yeah, so you say, hey, what one drummer, what one guitar player? No man, that is disrespect to the profession. I play drums, of course, yes. But I'm not a drummer. I'm an entertainment consultant. So you have to know within yourself what you are called to do in the realm of music. And have a passion for it and know how to execute when called appropriately for the particular genre you are called to do.
Yeah, love that. All right, so I'm going to throw a question quickly on you. You can answer in a minute or so. When you told your parents that you wanted to pursue music, what was that like?
Well, somebody in here related to somebody in here. One person related to Brother Clark right there. I grew up without a mother. My mother died when I was 1 year old. 1 year old. My father never really busy about me. But my aunt, she died 2020 from COVID. May God rest her soul. She never really cared about what I want to do. But she wasn't the person who say, oh, you have to do that, you have to do this. It was more of a survival mode for me in finding what is my purpose. So I wasn't really up against it that way. I was up against it the other way though, where I never have no structure, foundation as in a father and a mother to guide me and say, yo, you need to do this. Dave, you want to do that, we'll support you. But this and give me different pointers as it relates to career choices. So I never really have that problem that way. But I can tell persons though, music is not for the faint-hearted. Trust me. There are days when you want to throw in the towel and give up. Because I can remember my first experience. Clark and Floyd, you remember Floyd, play bass? Floyd picked me up on the Mountain Lane, and that is why I respect Paul to the max. Paul picked me up, Floyd picked me up on the Mountain Lane church, put in Usher Live. Remember the album there? Live in Chattanooga? Oh, sorry. So anyway, he put in a CD there and said, listen to this boy, I want to play drums, listen to this. And when the man done play it, the man said to me, stop playing drums. Am I right? Because I couldn't do nothing on that. When I hear it, I was like, Jesus. Am I right? I couldn't, it was just a mind-blowing experience. I was just battened down. Nothing at all I can play. I'm decided I'm going to stop playing drum. Then comes along Dean Fraser. Called me and said, Lucian, I want a drummer. And he able me and I got the audition and I get through the audition. But for the first tour with Luciana, I wasn't supposed to roll at all. Them call a meeting and say, you don't roll. And I was like, what? The man said, you no roll. For the entire tour, 6 weeks in Europe, I can't roll one time. And I played that tour without rolling once. And then I can remember Summer Jam 2005 with Luciana. Dean Fraser turned around and him turned like this. Dean Fraser, him turned around and go so. And shake me and say, oh, you reach. Not because of how good I was, but the discipline. And I followed what he said, and today I rate Dean Fraser to the ground. So back to your question about challenge. My challenge wasn't really with that part of it. It was really with myself, understanding who I am and what I was called to do.
Indeed, I can appreciate that. All right, so I'm going to give the audience members a chance to ask some questions. If you feel so obliged, you could just indicate that to Sister Sabrina if you have any questions. The last question I'll pose, and then I'll give the panelists some time to give some technical advice, us as musicians, how to better hone our craft, become better musicians. We have the likes of drummers, keyboardists, bass players that are here that can, do well with some knowledge from you guys. Piggybacking off one thing that they've spoke about, an income stream of the church, and it is a sore area, if I might say so. but Sir Oti would have been, before being a professional musician in the church, before the profession, you were in the church playing, you would have grown up playing at the church in the New Testament. What is your view on, the church paying musicians? And I pose the same question to Sir Paul.
All right, all right. What is my view on the church paying musicians? Do I have a real view? Do I have a real view? Do I have a real position? It would be good. It would be good. It would be good. Some people, different churches, different church leaders have different views, right? So, depending on your personal conviction and depending on where the Lord is leading you, under whose shepherding the Lord is leading you, then you try align everything. Yeah? It sounds murky. You understand what I say?
Yeah, I understand, yeah, man.
Right? So, for me, I do a lot. Well, my church, I can't say my church day is done. My church day is not done. But I earn more outside, right? So I don't necessarily, somebody asks me to play a service, I don't go and say, okay, you need to give me X amount of money to come play a church service, because a worship service is a worship service, right? So I'm a little uncomfortable with that, but that is my personal conviction, right? Everybody, they were them there, right? For me, I don't want to say, why I am not coming to worship in your church because you can't pay me X amount of money, right? That is me, right? The Lord gave me my gift, and I give it back to him, right? So, whatever will be, is up to him, right? And I am not going to fight with any pastor over it, right? Don't diss the rev, understand and who is your shepherd, and understand, where the thing is. Okay, yeah. So, that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah, I can appreciate that your conviction. I think I would share the same. It depending on your own conviction and what you feel, and then again depending on the church, because some churches really can't afford to pay a musician. So it all goes with what's happening there, and you have the conversation. Let me just.
Can I add?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Use the mic.
Yes, my mic is on. So, I share the same view with you. So, for example, if I'm required to get up at 6 o'clock every Saturday or Sunday morning, for every Sunday or Saturday morning out of the year, there's a rehearsal on Wednesday or Thursday. I have to set my time. I have to dedicate all of these Saturdays or Sundays from X time to X time. I think I should be somewhat compensated if it is that I'm full-time. But I just went to the scripture. I like go to the scripture them. Numbers 18 verse 21. To the sons of Levi. So the Levites were the musicians in the Bible. Behold, I have given all the tithe in Israel for an inheritance in return for their service, which they perform, the service of the tent of meeting. So I've always heard about the Levites in the Bible being compensated. If it is that they are full-time and that is what them do work at a bank, them do, you see me? So, for example, me, I went to Nicholas, Tweak, I call him Bugs. But I went to Nicholas's church on Saturday and I didn't charge a fee. I just went to play. I just wanted to be a part of the worship experience. So, I mean, I personally would do that. But, I mean, if I'm required to go there next week, the week after, I might have to get some gas money or something. So I personally think if it is a thing where you want professional musicians to enhance the worship, we can take it right back to the scripture and, you know.
Well, can I add something? Hold on a second. Remember though, that the Levitical order is not limited to musicians. All right?
Yeah.
I just before you go, sir, let me just allow party go. Yeah, man.
So I like the idea of the Levitical order. I want to start by saying this. And if you were listening to CNN, this is how they would start it. Every church should pay all their musicians as good as they are getting paid elsewhere. However, yeah, that's so. I accept the clap. Yes. Every church should pay their musicians and singers as good as they are paid outside. The Levitical order includes musicians. When you have a chance, read Chronicles. Asaph was in charge of music and worship. And these are things that were critical to what he did. However, first thing, the musicians do not command the respect that we ought to get to even sit at the table to start the conversation. How me sound? I'm going to say it again because I'm going to get no clap. The musicians are not at a place to command the kind of respect that they need to have to go sit at the table. Whether it is little girls in the church, whether it is coming late, whether it is the cell phone, whether it is sleeping, whether it is behaving like the cat's pajama, you can't go to the table. Because when you read in the book of Chronicles, that was not the attitude of the persons who understood the Levitical order. Just close your eyes and think about some Rasta man. I mean, no, I'm going to get flack for this. When you think about how them behave and how them move, not me a big up about them, you know. The Levitical order is a set of musicians and people who understand them purpose. Like how we see them guys up on the street, I hold them order for 30, 40 years until all of us now eat healthy, da. So you need to think about your deportment. If you're a professional, you can't behave like a squalor. You have to behave like a professional. So for the church to really see and understand their role in the Levitical order, let me give you an idea. And again, I know I'm on YouTube. There are at least 3 bands that I'm thinking of right now. When you listen to them music there, in our church circles, where they say, boy, them man, they don't backslide good enough. When you hear the kinds of music, reggae, they are playing, what they are using in their lyrics, and this is my point now. The entire team of 10 or 15 of them are beer church musicians who went to school of music, a lot of them, and migrated to get an opportunity. Like we hear Oti say, the church cannot. I don't even want to finish that line. Oti, you know, Oti who we know, Oti who we love so dearly, Oti who is playing with Monty Alexander, Jimmy Cliff, you name it, big international professional. Where is the church that understands that his father was a pastor? His father birthed him. And there is a responsibility of the church There's a responsibility of the church. So it is easy to say, look when him locks up 3 women him have, this, that, and we class them. But did the church pray for them, bless them, and send them like in the New Testament? So, yes, we should get paid, but we have a responsibility.
Yeah, I like how you balance it there. The responsibility comes, yeah, and yeah, I really appreciate that. So I'm just gonna take, Dave, I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, and then I have a question.
30 seconds.
I'm gonna give you a minute, and then we just jump into some of the technical aspects.
So much.
Because I know this can go on and on, you know.
2 minutes too long, and just 30 seconds.
Okay.
What Paul says exactly where I was going. You see, me, in my church, I've never asked for a salary in my church. Them just give me money. Guess why? Because how I operate at my church, I don't call and ask, yo, I want money there, and we don't play. No. But we are rehearsal on time. I'm never late. I stay inside church, and when the pastor preach things that we don't like, I sit down. He want to back him up. A members meeting, I'm there. Bible study, I'm there. And I am there if I'm not in Jamaica, I tune in online. My pastor know where I'm going, who I'm going with, and when I'm coming back. So Paul is right. And that attitude now takes me now to the secular realm. When I play with people, I don't have to charge you. I don't tell you a figure, you know. But when me come at your rehearsal, you know, say the money where you pay me is not the same thing we're going to pay everyone. And that's a kind of name. Because at the end of the day, the way I operate in that particular space, I demand my money based upon my behavior and my contribution to the particular vision of the pastor. So I don't need to charge people the money. And I won't stop the church because I don't get the money. If you want to play at my church free of cost, I don't charge church anymore. I don't need the money from church because I consider what God has given me more important than what any pastor can give me in my pocket to go home. So I give back my time, and I hope the pastor will see my commitment to the cause and then bless me. Indeed.
Yeah, man, love that.
Check. All right, so good night, everybody. I can understand everybody's viewpoint on musicians being compensated in church. And Mr. Primetime, here is a very touchy point for me. I hope the pastor sees. There's this very simple law of giving that we as humans who are so musically inclined forget that when we enter the church, we don't just, come for play music, come for, practice some of our cards that we are holding in our free time, practice some runs that we are work on. We come to give worship unto God. And the truth of the matter is, I don't remember your name, but you said it. Where God guides, He provides. And I mean, me just look on it like this. Church will sometimes use you. And me not afraid to say it to nobody. And my kids, if them come and want the music, the church will sometimes use you. Not sometimes. All the time you'll feel like you are not appreciated. But just know, it's not the church I do it for. Because when God ready for show the right artist you up on the stage, when God ready for put you through certain doors, the pastor now going to see the faith. The pastor now going to hold the key, or God hold the key. So get out of the mindset of, we are doing this for the church, and focus more on the creator in which put us there to do it. That's just my two cents.
Can I just disagree
Yeah, man.
with example?
Yeah, man.
You are right. But let me use a good example. Oti need to do it for the church of that? Which New Testament church. Meaning, I'm not saying that he should give his service to the New Testament church, Because of how he's birthed, because of the example I used earlier, he should, if the mechanism is in place, he should want at some point, if he feels like, to stop go road and just come back home. That is that is way, way, way out now, you know, because the church, a lot of them are not accurately aligned to how God would want them to treat with not only musicians, but that's another matter. But I'm saying to you, when, let me use TD Jake's church. If Otti, no, because, no, I mean, I use Otti. I grew up with Otti, you know. I will have a big history. If Otti was a part of and had the kind of birthing and history in the potter's house, don't you see where he would want to do it for the potter's house? I'm not talking about doing it for man, you know. I know that he's doing it unto God. But when you understand your purpose, when you look at your value, there's a reason why he wasn't born in Nashville. There was a reason why I'm never born around. So there's a reason why you had your history. And so there comes a time when you want to do it, and I'm doing it for my church. I was birthed by the Holiness Christian Church. I am not going there now, but I can easily see where if things were what they ought to be, I would want to do it and be it for the church. And that is different from doing it unto man.
But hey, you know that it's very important to what Paul is saying too, is that we understand that. Why? I remember one Sunday I was at Church on the Rock playing, you know. It was 2010, thereabout, playing at Church on the Rock. And I was playing drums Sunday morning. All who've been to Church on the Rock know Church on the Rock stay. Big church, and you know, upstairs, a lady was there, you know. Anyway, in church over, I got a phone call from Valerie. Valerie called me, Dave, a lady wanted the number because she wanted to pass on a message. I said, don't give her my number. Find out what is the message. So Valerie called her and she said, all right, I'm going to pass on the message. She told Valerie that she planned to commit suicide the morning. She was planning to come to church, after church, commit suicide. And she was sitting there, and while I was playing the drums, I was talking to her on the drums. And my mind goes back to when Saul was troubled with spirit. He never asked for a pastor, you know. He never asked for an evangelist. He said, send for a minstrel, a skillful minstrel. So we have to understand that for you to demand, you have to be at a place where you, let's me say a while ago, you know, hope the pastor see. Because remember, you know, the brother go for David, you know, because he saw David's talent and realized that David was anointed. So when David went and played for King Saul, the Spirit leave him. So my thing is that while the church, Paul said, yes, the church must pay. That's CNN, full stop. But we go on with a comma and say, however, there are certain things a musician will have to replicate and bring forth for him to acknowledge that, listen to me, I'm just not in it for the money only. Because I don't play drum for money alone, you know. I don't play. If I was playing drum for money, or keyboard, Evan, I can vouch for these guys. None of us would be sitting here right now if it was money. I've gotten offers for money where I could be out there right now, not sitting right here now. So I'm not in this for money only. I'm in it because God gave me a talent, and I want to please him by delivering a particular level of expertise and skillfulness to him for his kingdom.
Well, I mean, not to devalue any of the work we're going to put in, because I know you guys have paved the road for people like me, people like the legends in the audience. But I just want to say thank you for the wisdom, because there's a lot to think about. I'm going to know the time I go, so I'm not going to even go on. So thank you so much for just hearing me out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So we have one other question. Yes, invite him to the mic.
Yeah, man, thank you. Good night, everyone. Good night to the panel. So I'm privileged to be at an event like this. I think it's a good, it's really a great space to set standards and to help us to appreciate what the industry should be setting. So I'm okay. I want to preface this question by saying I'm okay with you not giving me a direct answer to it because I understand the nature of it, all right? So I think for me, what I've seen in the industry is not so much the question of should musicians be paid, but how much should musicians be paid? So that's the direct question I want to ask. Can you give me some sort of range that we should be looking at? I think this is a safe space that we can explore it and actually decide.
All right, let me answer that, right? I'm going to tell you straight up. I'm going to say it a while ago. My name is Fitzroy Dave Primetime Green. So me personally, I will not say a figure, but I will tell you this though. A musician, or like when I walk in today, let's talk about the guys who are playing, the musicians who are playing today. When I walk in today, there are certain things I realize right off the bat that I want to talk about. And then it's not bad, but it's constructive criticism. Now the sample was up there playing. The sample was there. The drummer, he was playing. He wasn't hearing the sample, you know. The band wasn't hearing the sample. You know what that means? Confusion. That means that nobody know in the band. The sample is going, and the band is at a different tempo, a different timing. Now, those are the things that persons look at and say, oh, can't pay your money because, you know. So me personally, I can tell you, this man here, you don't know Oti here. He's a Oti and Paul to an extent too. I can remember I went to audition for Catalyst School. Remember Paul? Yes, I always remember. And I came to the audition and I put on my snare. I'm ready. And Catalyst was at the band at the time. And Paul said, intro. You know? And start and Corey and Paul hot me, you know. You're hired, man. You're hired here. You're crashing, you know. Oh, man, that's the... But I've learned that they were doing it in love. Not out of embarrassment, but it was in love. Next experience was with Oti. I just got the call with Son, you know. Son called me and say, oh, he want me to come play the drummer. Them called Oti. I was there. Oti said, I can't work with that drummer because that man can't play with click track. It was true. At the time, I could not play with click track because I was not there skillful wise. You understand? So sometimes we as musicians we demand money, but we are not there to demand that particular money or whatever price, that level of access to money. So yes, a musician will get paid and the amount. So I think for you to be paid a certain level, you need to come up to that level there too. That's what I think. First, before you demand, you start making demands on how much. If you're not there, you can't make demands on how much.
I think similar to the attitude at church, you're saying it, does it make sense demanding a certain amount when you're not there as a musician? More importantly, I think, and maybe I'm addressing something now that I would have addressed a little later when I get the chance, and it is this. Just to speak to musicians about how they value themselves. What is success for a musician? Is success for a musician making a lot of money on tour? It could be, if that is your value. And then after 12 years, when the musician move on, what happened? Like what happened in COVID, a lot of my friends was running up and down looking stuff to build studio at home, and I was doing it for 25 years. Not that I'm a genius, but I wasn't on the road. And I know people like Rowan, similar vibe, where why is there two headliners in 2022, one headliner set a musician maybe, I don't know what they are paid now, but maybe it's 15,000, maybe it's 20,000 per musician. And another headliner, maybe the musician will get 5,000. Now, one would say, but it's no business of one musician what the other one pays. That's true if you're thinking as artists. But when you think of a collective, the Grammy that you hear about every year, it's really about that. That is why they don't honor people who have number one and big numbers. When they did Santana, them just decide to honor Santana. When it was time for India Ari, for their own reasons, they decided that they're not honoring her. But understand what I'm saying though. They set prices. There's a basis upon which you can go, join the organization and get representation. So whereas I'm not saying we should form another alliance or anything like that, how you charge is a function of how we value ourselves. So if 2 months' time, any artist at a certain level will ask any of us in here, all of us, I say, let us divide 5 and add 5,000 and add 25,000 and divide that. Everybody say, well, who is the mathematician in here? If that is 15,000, everybody say we now work until we get $15,000. Why? Because I remember when we used to work for 5,000, and that was almost 30 years ago. And persons still working for that now. I'm not suggesting that it should be 100, you know. I'm saying you have to know and value yourself. We spend I told, what's her name? That called me. I told Sabrina that if I come tonight, I don't want to play. Because everywhere I go, I see musicians playing. I want to just talk. Because everybody playing, and 5 years' time, people them still playing. How many songs you write? How many songs you write? Every artist is a company, is a brand. Otti is a brand. Otney Lewis, register that. Write some tune, get your royalties. But if 5 years' time we come, we're still playing, we're not moving as a collective. The word is a buzzword, you know. But where is the collective in gospel? Let me end here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for that. I hope we're taking notes. Very good. I know the discussion can go on and so many points to pull from, but make we move on very quickly. I'll give each panelist, again, there's a wealth of knowledge that you'd have already, spoke, but on the technical aspect, I know when you're talking about even being paid, it's paid depending on your skill set, your department. Let's talk about the technical side of being a musician. I want to give each person some time just talk about it a little bit. I want to start with Evan, then I go Otti, then I go Dave, then Paul. Just to give us some technical, tidbits. We have a lot of keyboards in the house. Like one of my friends, JJ, who was just there playing. Like what kind of advice you can give to her to inspire her to, love the music, kind of own that. And then you have other musicians at different levels to do that.
All right. I'm going to start this now. So, you want to develop yourself technically. How is that done? So, in my experience, for example, if I know how to play 3 songs, and 3 of them having similar progressions, similar movement, and I want to excel from that, the first approach would be listening, as Otti had mentioned, try to be diverse in different genres. So the first thing you start to do is listen. If I grow up in Norbrook, I'm going to speak like, hey, man, dude, blah, 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 blah. But if I grow up in a sentiment, I say, "Me bend the go," you see me? And your language kind of change is the same thing musically, where if I'm listening to a lot of jazz for 6 months, in the 7th month, I might be able to adapt a few jazz, them call it licks. You can Y and whatever, all you want is so it's a name. So I would have said start to listen to how you want to sound. Get the language in your head, and then now you try to transfer that to whatever instrument you're playing. And you will realize that it, by practicing more and more, your brain and your fingers kind of be intertwined. To be honest, I was hoping that we could have heard some unrehearsed playing. Like from what I heard, it sounded like everybody kind of rehearse and them, have the syncopations, them, and it's a performance. But what I like about the traditional jam setting is that, for example, a good way would be for us to choose a song that we all know, and we know the song already, so we're going to play it. We're going to play the form, and then everybody going to get a chance to improvise. So it's that same language that you've been listening to. Now you're going to improvise over the whole thing. So we play the form, we give Dave a solo over the entire farm, then I solo, you solo. That kind of thing kind of helps to develop. I'm trying to find a good word, but it helps to develop your technical ability then. So I would have said start with the listening, and then you just start practice what you hear and go in by your skills. Then the keyboard players, your skills, them are going to help you a lot. Practice all the chords from when I just went to Enda Manley, I knew the chords, but I didn't know the name of the chords. So that is one thing. You know a diminished sound, you know a augmented chord sound, you know a major seventh different from a minor seventh, you know what a dominant chord is. Practice all of them things there, and you will see a development.
All right, brilliant. All right, so I will add to what Evan just said. Strengthening one of his points, yes, you are the product of what you listen, right? You can't plant corn and expect for reap peas, right? So try to listen, as he said, to what you want to sound like. Moving on from there. Okay, now he dealt with the individual aspect. I'm going to talk about the group aspect, right? Understand your role, right? And that is for everybody. Understand your role. Bassist, you are not a lead guitarist. Lead guitarist, you are not a rhythm guitarist. Right? Keyboard players, my God. Right? I'm not gonna say tone down. All right. Just understand the genre, understand what day it is. So one day, you might be playing by yourself. And therefore, you need to sound big. You need to fill up the whole song. But there's another day that you're playing with somebody else, right? Understand now who is leading, who is supporting, right? And understand that this lead player, him bad like yours, but him don't have to lead every song, because sometimes me might have a little expression, although I'm not as bad as you, but me might want to say something to on the piano, right? So you need to learn to support me as I learn to support you, right? I find that the whole industry is extremely weak where that is concerned. Extremely, extremely weak, right? Everybody just like to just push frequencies. Because when I hear the Americans do it, man, it don't always work. It don't work for everything. What is it doing in ska? Like, really? My God. Anyway, drummers, know your role. Bassy, know your role. Everybody, know your role. That is it.
Check in. Well, I'm talking to the drummers, right? 2004, while touring with Luciano, I met a gentleman by the name of Lyde Nibs. Anybody know Lyde Nibs? Anybody here know Lyde Nibs? Drummer Lyde Nibs? Anybody? You see, that's the problem with our music. We don't study the hell of them and understand. Anyway, Lyde Nibs. 1 second. So I was sitting right beside Lyde Nibs, right here. I was sitting right here. Lyde Nibs was playing right there. Drummers, you can't come here. All the drummers them. Oh. All right. So I was sitting right there. Get that chair. Put a chair. Come on, no, lift up the chair, man. See the chair there? Yeah. So, I was sitting right there. You know how I reached there? The infraser called me and said, drummer, tonight, I'm going to sit up beside Lyde Nibs and I'm going to move. I'm going to watch and listen to everything that Lyde Nibs do on the drum. And I'm sitting right there. Remember, drum loud, right? Drum is loud. Cymbal and crash and ride and hi-hat, snare, yeah. Loud. But I'm sitting right there talking to Lyde Nibs while playing. So Lyde Nibs is playing. Just like but Lyde Nibs, when he's playing, he have a technique where none of the three is louder. So the hi-hat balance the snare and the snare balance the kick. So I'm talking to, I'm like, I'm gonna do that. He said to me, I'm gonna talk to me and I'm gonna say, yo, drummer, everything on the drum is called frequency, right? So this is hi-hat. What a high mean? Loud. Snare, but no snare is a trap, right? In the Bible, them talk about snare is a trap. Right? Kick, low frequency. So this go with the bass, right? So what Lyde Nibs know, when Lyde Nibs a play, him don't play. No, Lyde Nibs. Come on, talk to you now. So what Lyde Nibs did, him understand frequency and him understand him instrument. For no say, this is louder than the snare, and this is low frequency. So on the scale drummers, you know we scale are we drummers? Drummers, we scale are we? We scale is the drum. Where drummers them there? Eh? Alright, so this is bass. Where I put the bass? Where I put the bass? On the bass clip, right? On the bass clip with the bass guitar. So what he was talking about now, playing together as a band. Now for me, whenever I play a bang, Otti a shuffle, Paul a play the bass. So me need to understand, say yo, my bang, my hi-hat, and wherever there, I this on my hi-hat there. Yeah. The shuffle, believe it or not, the shuffle go with my hi-hat too. But the shuffle is kukachu, kuchak. The bang is ching, ching, ching. But the bass now, the bass is the kick and the snare, the drop. Get that? Do 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 do. So now I'm the drummer. My first inclination as a drummer is to understand each musician in the band. Guitar, keyboard, bass, if you have hands. So I can't be crashing when the hand section is going on. Because you clash frequency right there, so. So therefore, and I can't be rolling like a rolling cloth in the middle when I sing. It's contradiction. You're having a conversation, not a monologue. So I'm into conversation. When I'm playing, I'm into conversation. I have to understand what you are saying, and you have to understand what I am saying. So when I'm playing, I'm into conversation as a drummer. Drummers nowadays, all we think about is the licks. So we want a song like Spunky, I want a song like Spunky, and want a song like Dada, and want a song like everybody. Not realizing, say, there's a man called Lightning and a man called Slide On Bar. And a man named Olano. I have another drummer too, what enough guys don't talk about. You have a drummer named Mikey Boo. You have a man named Haas Mouth. Dreadlocks so you have to understand. You have to understand. And God has given me reggae music. Not to say, Oti was doing a thing the other day with Junior Tucker Church. And Oti came into the pattern and said, Dave, play this. And I couldn't get it at first, remember? The Afrobeat thing. But we listen to Afrobeat every day. And Oti was like this. And that was the pattern for the entire song, right? Now, as a drummer, a keyboard player often hear things as a producer. And sometimes we drummers don't really hear it too. So we have to, in a band setting, we have to understand our role as a drummer. And not every song we have to play the exact same role. Afrobeat role is not Black American role. Country and Western role is not a reggae role. You understand? A jazz role is not a... No. So context of what you're playing and be proficient in every genre. Try to be. And listen while everyone said, listen everything as a drummer. And try to be. I'm still learning, you know. I'm still learning. But it's one thing I can tell you. It's reggae music. I don't mess with it. I try to go in-depth in my music because at the end of the day, I may be falling down on the Afrobeat or the Black American, but one thing I not fall upon is the reggae. Because at the end of the day, God has given us that genre, so let's master it as much as we can. And drummers, go home tonight and Google Mikey Boo, Lied Nibs, Slide On Bar, Carlton Barrett, Devon Richardson, Willie Stewart. You get me, I say? You have a drummer named Santa Davis. You get me, I say? I have a drummer for Roots Radix. Remember again? Roots Radix drummer? Roots Radix. Okay. Pam, 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 pam. Remember again? No man, Roots with Flower Pan bass. He died. No. The drummer. Anyway, that drummer. Let's Google Roots Radix. Roots Radix, and you see what I'm talking about. Yeah, the man, the drummer was a player. Style Scott. Google them drummers then, because guess what? Those guys has paved the way internationally. I was going to an airport with Kirk Franklin band. And the guy said, and the man them tell me, say, all them listen from morning till night is Bob Marley, is Carlton Barrett and Family Man. That's all them listen to. They don't listen no other. Them say those guys to them is like God. No, I'm saying we have those guys in Jamaica, access to those guys, and we are not paying attention to our music. So when we're playing reggae music, we sound like it's a second thought. But when we're going to Black American, reggae music is almost like take that. No, we have to ensure that we protect our own culture. So anywhere in the world we go, we can represent properly, because trust me, in Europe, everyone can tell you, a 9-year-old, I buy vinyl. A 9-year-old asks you if you know Inner Circle, you know Oswald, you know this. I mean, I say, oh, you know the people there, 9-year-old, you know. So I'm saying, guys, as drummers, we have to understand, this is what, hi-hat, snare, and we understand every part and the frequency what every part of the drum set give. We can't just crash because we want to match up the song. Crash and match up the song, you know. So if you be careful, you crash. Yeah? You hear me now, Faye? and it ring by itself, it's naturally loud. So your approach to the drum set is finesse, guys. Finesse, that is the word. And those are my few words. Control, balance, groove.
It's interesting, you know, because the second part of what I'm going to end with is branding. Control, balance, groove. Yeah. So, Dave kind of said most of what I wanted to say for a start. Because when I came here, let me qualify it first. I don't make no apology about me. I don't make no apology about reggae. None at all, as you heard Dave say. But I'm not forcing it. All I'm asking you to do, think about all of the musicians just above you and a little there. Think about all their income. Think about all what them have. I don't know them, you know. You know them. Who have house, who have car, 2 car, who have girls. Not that I'm pushing that. But think about all those musicians. They are musicians. And then think about whether or not it is calypso that allow them to achieve what they achieve, or R&B, or praise and worship. Can I say that? It's not about praise and worship and money. I'm speaking to young musicians and not forcing reggae on you, helping you to understand purpose. So when I came here today, if I heard 4 songs and of the 4, 1 is a reggae, I was kind of, I don't want a musician to feel bad either. But let me put it this way. If you took the same set and transport it in a Kirk Franklin church and do the same set of praise and worship songs them and do the same reggae, not only would they be surprised and disgusted with how you are playing praise and worship, although it sounds good here. They would be disgusted with that because they do it good. But I also feel like if them hear how you play reggae, they have heard it better. So I'm speaking to some Jamaicans who may or may not graduate from UWI, graduate with masters, but have a talent, and you do music, and reggae music is an avenue that you can use to further your career. So along with what Dave said, take the music seriously. Take the fact that you're a Jamaican seriously. Let me bring it home to gospel now. All of the gospel artists, the bulk of them that you know, that tours and tours well. All those who love praise and worship, you know, I'm not knocking that. When they are on tour, what do you hear them playing? That's the point. It's almost like I'm apologizing for what God has given to us as a purpose. In birth reggae, and we little country has given the world 6 different genres. 6, you know, imagine reggae, dub, dancehall. America not do that. America not won't. Well, let me leave myself. You know, America has not given the world, no other country has given the world, and yet we have it, and the church is starved of music. So I'm just speaking to purpose. Let me end with this now by saying Dave Primetime Green is a brand. Paul Catalyst Barkley is a brand. From high school, Catalyst, chemistry. Each of you, your name or however the persons refer to you as. So if it's Otti, Neil Lewis, trading as Otti. I would like you guys to promise me one thing. Before the year ends, or before January ends, all of you just go to the registrar of companies and register your name as a brand. Start there. I had some very unfortunate health circumstances in 2018, 2019. 2020, pandemic. 2020, 2022, 21, 22, pandemic almost. And I don't want to mention the figure. One of the hundreds of songs that I've written over almost 20 years ago, one, just one, on my publishing statement could make some difference to me now. Just one song. And it's not even a catalyst song. Those songs are there. All I'm saying, it's music, but you have purpose. Your purpose have value. When I was at JCAP as the chairman, I was writing checks for musicians for $400,000 or $500,000, Jamaican, for a period of time. I'm not calling anybody's name. And I'm not telling you what kind of musician, but it's not an artist. The artist is multiple times that. Musician, but you have to organize yourself, and that's the core of what I'm saying. Organize yourself and play music.
Wow, can you just get a round of applause for our panelists? I would say amazing wealth of knowledge that would have garnered tonight. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for coming out and just, what you have experienced over the time from, owning your brand and putting in the work to, as a drummer, kind of understand the type of music you're playing, the rhythm, understand the different frequency. And I'm just so grateful for this wealth of knowledge. And to do the vote of thanks, I'm going to ask our creative director, Sabrina Bryce, to come and to do the official vote of thanks.
Guys, thank you so much. Put your hands together for all these lovely gentlemen. So I'm going to ask each of you to stand as we do some presentations. So I have to present to Primetime. Javon Roberts is going to come and make a presentation to you. It's a small token, very, 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 very small, but but it's one of the first attempts to appreciate you. So Jev is a budding drummer and creative. The voice that you heard when they were being introduced, that was his voice. Yes. All right. Coming to present to Mr. Mason, we have Anthony. I almost said Anthony Miller, but his name is Anthony Bryan. He's a budding. He is a up-and-coming keyboardist, mathematician, everything. Yeah, man. So, yes, man. So we have talented people here. So just to show you that we appreciate you. To present to Mr. Lewis, we have Nicholas Renford, a.k.a. Tweak, a.k.a. Bugs or Bugsy. Yes, he is an established keyboardist, producer, photographer, videographer. There is we're on the church YouTube page, but his face is in a lot of international music videos. I shouldn't continue? Okay, all right. One thing with me, I love to big up my team. So last and by no means least, I will have Carlton Brown, some know him as Jace, to make the presentation to Uncle Paul or Mr. Barkley. So he's a bassy, architect, construction extraordinaire, the whole works. Yes, so, I'm supposed to do vote of thanks. Thank you. Thank you. Put your hands together for them.
Sabrina, before you close off,
okay, so
don't wrap up it.
So,
I want you to say something to Paul and Otti, and I think this needs to be said inside the church so they can understand. Paul and Otti, as paved the way for myself and Evan. Because we go up and see these guys on stage. You understand? So I don't want anybody to feel as if we feel like we're on the same levels, different levels. So Otti and Paul, that's where it is. And I can only endeavor to get there one day. You know who I know? And I think Jamaican music and the gospel music in Jamaica has done these people this service. Because in America, if these guys was in Europe or America, trust me, them not be the gospel music Hall of Fame. That's how serious it is. And I've seen some people nowadays getting some local award. You know, I'm not saying that you're not supposed to give them, you know. I'm just saying that in the grand scheme of things, we have to ensure we protect our elders. While our elder not in the age, so while we endeavor to protect the youths and making them move on and tell them to go aspire to be like Otti, we ensure Otti and Paul are also encouraged to continue the legacy they have left for us to follow. And Otti has produced enough of the biggest song in Jamaica that you don't know about. Paul as well, #1 hit. All right, look here. The last #1 hit in Jamaica, which is the #1 hit in Jamaica? The last #1 hit in Jamaica. Anybody can remember? Gospel. Anybody can remember the last #1 hit in Jamaica? Anybody can? Oh? Which one? If it's not you, well, I would say you may be stronger. That was Othniel Lewis. You understand? Papa San, Paul and Otti. And Catalyst. You can take away. And listen, you know, it goes. These guys are legend. Legend. Legend, the money are legend. So let's give them a round of applause. These guys need to be sand and salted and preserved like the mummy them. You understand? Trust me. Yeah, man.
Thank you, Dave. I will not give you the mic anymore. Yes. All right, so thank you so much. I'm just going to try and run through my vote of thanks. So I just wanted to emphasize that there were 5 persons on the flyer, and the 5th person, unfortunately, I know he really tried to be here, but Wendell Lawrence, I'm not sure if you're online now, but he could not make it. He was unwell, and we want to acknowledge him because, trust me, when we say, I hate seeing that. When we say finale, that means we had to start somewhere. And us starting didn't mean it was the Genesis. We had a good foundation to build on. Yes, because we have a little, you have a little open segment coming up here. Oh, me? Me supposed to move? Okay, all right, cool. So we can remove these chairs because the instruments are open for those who didn't get a chance to play, for you to come and vibe. So it's a free space, as I said, for you to jam. Yes, you're not under any scrutiny. It's just constructive criticism. Yes? All right. So where do I start? First of all, I have to acknowledge Reverend Stevenson Samuels, our immediate former pastor, as well as Latoya Hall-Downer, Minister Latoya Hall-Downer. I know she's online, and Charlon Downer, because it was under their leadership that we saw the jam session initiative, the whole idea being piloted. And it's from there, I feel I have a little competition going on in here. Thank you, because I'm giving a vote of thanks. So may I thank you. Yeah? So it was under their leadership that we were able to take what was already there, because we have an influx of musicians from the different campuses. So we kind of gel and we kind of organize it. So we started officially at UTech. Big up to Gavin and Kalim for just not knowing where I'm going with the idea, and they ran with it. And from UTech, that's where I met Cleon Firesticks, and he would have invited us to his church. That's Trinity, what the church name? Yeah, one church over there, so. And each staging that we did, we further expanded the network. We met persons saw the video, and almost any name that you can mention in terms of gospel music, those persons would have made some contribution, whether it is being here physically or hours and hours of consultation. And trust me, I don't have the words to appreciate you or to express my gratitude. Can I just get 2 seconds, guys? 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, just 2 seconds. Thank you. So whether you're online or you're in the house, thank you. So as I said, this is the finale. Emphasis on the word final, but it doesn't mean the end. So just as all the foundation was set, maybe unknowingly, by Reverend Sam, Latoya, wherever you are, and Charlon, wherever you are, we have built on it to bring it where it is now, so that we can have these great minds sharing. We can have this type of production, going on. We have the great Shane. What is Shane's last name? So to some, it may look like it's, we don't know how to interpret what's going on. But if you understood where we're coming from, then you would learn how to appreciate our journey. So thank you for those who would have journeyed with us from UTech. Daniel was here from day one. Theodore was at the first one. Cleon was at the first one. Gavin was right there through and through, literally through rain and storm. Me can't go down the road and tell the stories. So, proper vote of thanks. Thanks be to God. Can we put our hands together for God? Yes. And I have to thank Reverend Leslie Pinnock and the leadership team here for allowing us to use this space to transform the sanctuary, because a little bit after this, we're going to return it to its usual order. I have to give thanks to my production team. Put your hands together for my production team. Consisting of Ishmael Preston, Kemoy Plowright, Dwayne Grant, Tajay, Najee, Peku, Kimon, call out name, Gavin, Janelia, Ronaldo. Yes, all the gentlemen in the panel who would have spent time giving me consultation. Big ups to Ryan Essen, big up Shane, big up to Uncle Junior, big up to all the band members, LJ, Nicholas, Theodore, Daniel, Ace, Carlton, Bindi, everybody, those who would have endorsed us, those who would have shared a flyer. If you came and you bought a ticket, you sponsored somebody, oh yes, and let me big up our sponsors. The whole idea of a sponsor is when, I don't want to call any name, but they're like, Sabrina, is how much it costs you to do this? Is where you get the money from, is who give you money? And I'm like, somebody's supposed to give me money? And, over time, I was, I guess, sternly encouraged. Let me not use another word. Sternly encouraged to seek sponsorship. So one of our first sponsors and oldest sponsors is TEF, Tourism Enhancement Fund. And let me just put it out there, guys. If you're having your event, if you have an idea, you want to do something in your church, you want to do something for your department, just put it on paper. Like Dave or Paul would have said, like when you ask other musicians, ask questions. If you not get a particular vibe from somebody, ask them for recommendations, or just keep asking, keep trying. Me can't begin to tell you the amount I know me get or cold shoulder. So big up to TEF, Tourism Enhancement Fund. Big up to Sagicor Jamaica. Big up to Tweak Visuals. Let's Design, oh my God, Larnell. Listen, big up to Larnell for most, if not all, of the graphics. Yeah, man, night and day. Auntie Loreen for the decor. Can you pan and give me my backdrop? I mean, we see it every week, but this one was for me. She said, Sabi, this is the finale. We now go pian pian. We have Edna Manley, arts people, and the work up there. So, yeah, man, we have the photo booth outside. Ensure you go outside, make your picture get taken, and put tag Jam Session Muse on Instagram. There's another sponsor. It's a construction. We would like to thank our sponsor, Issa Construction Jamaica. Is that all? Thank you, thank you, thank you. The floor is open for 2 minutes because we have to pack up. God bless you. Good night. Love you. Yeah, man, place is open. If you don't come and play, we're going to just pack up because the engineer need to go. And singers. I'm not sure if refreshments are on sale, but production team, refreshment is in the cafeteria.